Hello, friends. Welcome to today's episode of Stand Up, where one of our favorites, Celeste Headlee, joins me. Coming up, if you want to jump to my interview with Celeste, it begins at 28 minutes. Also, should mention I should be live around 10:30 with the great Christian Finnegan wrapping up the week. Finnegan Fridays, always fun. You can watch that on Substack and YouTube at Stand Up with Pete. And I want to thank everybody who joined me last night at the Hangout. We had a great time, great hang, lots of fun, couple of hours. Thank you so much for joining us, and I am always looking forward to the next one. If you're not a paid subscriber, become one. Patreon.com/Pete Dominic. Beginning of the month, you always lose a couple of subscribers as a result of credit cards expiring or information changing. So please check your credit card and please sign up for a paid subscription so I can continue to do this daily show for you. It is an ad-free show completely supported by subscribers like you. Patreon.com/Pete Dominic. Go to Substack and get a paid subscription there or that. There you go. All right, let's get to the headlines that I've got for you. Lots going on in the world, as there always is. I've got a clip show and then my conversation with Celeste. I also sat down for the first time with author, journalist, filmmaker, and now podcaster, Stephen Beschloss. You can watch that on YouTube. That was a great conversation. I'll probably share that as part of Monday's show. But right now, it's your headlines. Well, overnight, in the middle of the night, all night, Senate was working to pass legislation to fund ICE. That's right. I'll read from the Associated Press where they refer to him as President Donald Trump. I don't, but the Senate passed legislation to fund President Donald Trump's immigration enforcement agencies early Friday, after weeks of delays and fierce backlash to an unrelated $1.776 billion settlement fund that threatened to derail the bill. Senators voted 52-47 to pass a $70 billion legislation to fund ICE and Border Patrol for the next 3 years through the end of Trump's term, after Democrats blocked the money for months. The bill will now head to the House, which is expected to take it up next week. The final vote came just before 5 a.m. after Republicans narrowly defeated multiple attempts by members of both parties to add language to the bill that would permanently ban Trump's settlement fund for allies who believed they had been politically persecuted. Republicans cleared the last major hurdle overnight when they defeated an amendment proposed by one of their own members, Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy, that would have redirected payments from the settlement to members of law enforcement who were injured when a mob of Trump supporters seeking to overturn his 2020 presidential election loss attacked the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Okay, so in the middle of the night, they passed it. 5 a.m., finally passed. And it's really just gross and terrible, and we can talk about that. I'm going to move on to the next, but that's a big story that you might have missed because it happened overnight. And I didn't mention this a couple days ago, my bad, but the headline at Slate is the Supreme Court just transformed its horrible voting rights ruling into something more calamitous. The brilliant Dahlia Lithwick and Mark Joseph Stern writing on Tuesday evening in an unsigned shadow docket order, the Supreme Court awarded Alabama a massive victory in its long-running campaign to crush black residents' political representation under the guise of a soberly reinstating Alabama's elections as usual, and over the dissent, 3 liberal justices of the Republican-appointed supermajority halted the latest in a lengthy line of judicial efforts to end blatant discrimination by the state legislature against its own black voters. So there's a lot more, but that's a lot. That's really hard to see, is really terrible. Siegel has been talking about it. We expected it, but still a lot. To move on to just another headline on, and not just digest it, but that's what we do here in the headlines. Also read yesterday that Burger Gene King announced a $700 million in new federal funding for the country's struggling coal industry, including $185 million meant to build the first 2 new coal burning power plants in the United States in more than a decade. I mean, so he's preventing renewables from being built and canceling ones that are in progress of being built and taking down ones that were already built. At least that's what he's trying to do. The courts are stopping him in many ways, but it's certainly slowing it down, investment, etc. And he's investing into the dirtiest form of energy known that has been phased out, not by government incentives, but by markets, because mainly natural gas. It's crazy. It's not free market. It's terrible for the environment, and it's exactly, of course, what we predicted and expected. And here's another terrible headline, 3 in a row. Family separations apparently did not end in Trump's first term. No, 8 years after this monster's forcible border separations came to an official halt following global outrage, an Associated Press investigation has found that the government has re-separated dozens of children from their families despite this landmark legal settlement meant to keep them together. It just, they can't come off as more evil, really. Also, he issued an executive order turning an estimated 8,000 federal workers into at-will employees, which means the government could fire them without providing any reason. The move culminates an effort he launched during his first term to strip vast numbers of federal employees of civil service protections designed to insulate their work from political interference. Oh, my good Lord. Let's see. Another lawsuit worth watching. According to Steve Bennett at Maddow Blog, 2 advisory board members of Stars and Stripes, the military newspaper that has long enjoyed editorial independence from the government, sued the Defense Department on Wednesday, alleging that an effort to impose new restrictions on the paper was an act of illegal censorship. How about that? An American brokered ceasefire agreement between Israel and Lebanon appeared to have had limited, if any, effect on Thursday. Just hours after it was announced, Israel battered southern Lebanon with rounds of strikes, and the leader of Hezbollah, who was not part of the talks, rejected the deal as his fired rockets at Israeli forces in Lebanon. And hold on to your hat, you might not believe this, but a January 6th rioter who you could watch in a video climbing through the window of the Capitol with a crowbar in his hand he pled guilty to the crime. He's just been hired to work at the Pentagon. What? His name is Elias Irari, I think is how you say it. I don't know how you say it. I don't care, but I just say it so you can look up this story. Apparently 97 of the nearly 1,600 people who were charged in connection with the Capitol riot have actually been accused of new crimes, according to one study. So that's crazy, though, that guy, a J6er who broke into the Capitol, has now just been hired. I mean, it's not crazy. We knew it would happen. They're trying to build their army. Also, a planning commission led by some of Count Flatula's friends have advanced his proposal for yet another new construction project. This, a 250-foot triumphal arch, despite overwhelmingly negative response from the public. I'm sorry, that was the arch that we've known about. Now he's trying to add a promenade to the Lincoln Memorial. That's the new one that they announced yesterday. John Bolton, Trump's former national security advisor, reached a deal to plead guilty to mishandling classified information used in a book. He faces up to 5 years in prison. I don't think he's going to get it, though. And here's some good news in science and health. And a breakthrough, scientists at Columbia University precisely edited the DNA of early human embryos that could pave the way for genetically engineered babies. Maybe that's not a good thing. I didn't mean to say it's a good thing. It could be a good thing for some things, but also a bad thing as well. I saw that movie, Gattaca. Remember that? With Jude Law and Ethan Hawke. Also, scientists have identified a promising new strategy. This is good news, to predict and prevent lung cancer, which kills more people worldwide than any other cancer. It's actually pretty interesting and important development that you might want to read about. See that over at the New York Times and other outlets reporting. A team of more than 80 researchers across 4 continents have identified a set of proteins in the blood that can accurately predict lung cancers more than 5 years before diagnosis. The researchers also found early evidence that an existing drug could reduce the odds of a tumor developing. Findings indicate that factors like smoking and air pollution cause mutations and inflammation, which together can cause cancer, according to one researcher. That's exciting to scientists because inflammation is an issue that they can potentially target before cancers develop. It's interesting. The research is still in its early stages, but outside experts say the findings are a promising start point toward the holy grail of public health research. Big deal. And that's good news. And so I wanted to end with that. Also, or as a way to transition to the clip show, you may or may not have heard that Robert Peabo Bryson has passed away, American singer and songwriter, passed away at 75 years old. The Grammy Award-winning singer claimed more than 40 tracks on the Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart and topped the Hot 100 in 1993. Billboard says the velvety, smooth voice singer who became an R&B mainstay in the 70s and 80s was immortalized to Disney fans worldwide for his pop renditions of the 90s classics died Tuesday at age 75. The Grammy Award-winning singer suffered a stroke in the days prior. And so sad news. But last night at the Hangout, our friend Vicky told us that she once met him and a heartwarming story about that meeting. And I asked her to record it for all of us and send it to me. And so she did. So that's going to get us started on the clip show. How about it? Our hero, our queen, the delivery of joy.
Hi, guys. I'd like to share a story about Peebo Bryson, who we just lost this week. I was at one of his concerts, and we were in line for photos and autographs after the show. And as we got closer to the front, the lady behind me pushed me out of the way, and he noticed. I told the lady, go ahead, and Peebo looked up and he said, come here. And I walked over to him and he said, that was the kindest thing I'd ever seen. And do you mind if I give you a kiss? And I was like, oh my God, of course. And he kissed me, and it was just the sweetest thing. He kissed me on my cheek, and it was just so sweet and kind. And I haven't washed my face for 40 years, but Peebo Bryson was an amazing singer, and he will be sorely missed. Thank you for letting me share.
You haven't washed your face for 40 years, Vic? I don't think that's true. I think you washed your face while you were making that message for us. Thank you very much, Vicky. That's a fun and positive and inspiring way to get started. And now let's move on to some more serious clips or dire clips or news clips. It's time for the clip show. Here is MMA fighter Bryce Mitchell making a really nuanced and thought-provoking point. He doesn't sound like a smart guy. He doesn't seem like a smart guy. You don't think that people who beat the hell out of each other for a living are generally well-spoken, intelligent people. But I thought this was pretty good. You got to hang with it. Hang with this clip and wait till the end. It's pretty interesting.
See that Sean Strickland got banned from the White House for talking about Israel?
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, freedom of speech is what really makes this country great. And when you can't criticize a foreign nation, come on, man. We ought to be able to criticize our own nation, let alone a foreign nation. In fact, that's the only nation you're not allowed to criticize. So something's going to change because evil empires don't last forever. There's always a rebellion. You ever seen Star Wars? That's what's going to happen, bro. Darth Vader's going to get took down.
What are your thoughts on the UFC White House just in general? Like, obviously, you said that you didn't really want to be on the card anymore, but it's such a spectacle, right?
I don't remember ever saying that.
Okay.
I do want to be on the card.
You do want to be on the card.
I do. And this is what I got to say. First off, I ain't jealous of any of those fighters. I'm so happy for those fighters. I don't think you could have got a better main event. I'm happy for every single last fighter on that card. If they need me to fill in, if I'm healthy, hey, I'll do it. For the UFC, I think it's great. It's beyond great. It's literally the perfect scenario. But as far as I'm an economics major. I love studying politics on the political side of things, not the UFC's business. That is, of course, they're going to say yes to it. But what I think personally is that our government is desecrating its role in society by entertaining sports. Our government is to protect and serve the people, and really should be as minimal as possible. And when you're doing all of this stuff, hosting sporting events, it's really outside of what the goal of the government was intended to be, because our tax dollars and resources are funding this operation. And like I said, I'm not criticizing the UFC. I love Dana. I love Hunter. I love Sean, Mick. I love all of them. And it's an amazing thing. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But the government should never be hosting sporting events because there's more room for corruption, and we already have a corrupted government. And so that's my thoughts on it, is that the government is supposed to protect us, not entertain us.
A lot of people talking about that. Just that final point. Government is supposed to protect us, not entertain us. What do you think? All right, moving on. The Secretary of Agriculture's name is Brooke Rollins. She's terrible. Not a good person, a liar, a bootlicker. And yesterday she was questioned on Capitol Hill by the House Agriculture Committee, and a ranking member, the highest ranking Democrat, was Angie Craig, was absolutely ready for a lot more ready, from Minnesota, by the way, a lot more ready than Brooke Rollins was. Take a listen.
Secretary, do you know how many farms we lost in the United States last year?
I know you were talking about the bankruptcies. I know that about 315 farms of 1.88 million are moving through bankruptcy right now.
We lost 15,000 farms last year.
Well, that's a conversation I would really like to have.
Fourth, and fifth generation farms.
Okay, so not bankruptcy,
15,000 farms. We lost 15,000 farms because of bad policy on the part of this administration.
So you think we walked in the door?
I'm sorry, I'm going to ask the questions here today.
Okay, I would love a question.
Do you know how much money farmers lost last year? What their losses were last year? It was $28 billion. You're the Secretary of Agriculture. $28 billion.
Well, it depends how you calculate that, because I don't think you're taking into account all the crop protection, all the insurance, all of the different programs that went through to support our farmers.
Right. And if this administration didn't have terrible policies, we would not need all that support for family farmers, because we would have export markets still left in China. Thank you for that.
Madam Ranking Member, that is absolutely 100% not correct. When we lost all of our trade access around the world, we went to
Madam
$42
Secretary, I'm going to reclaim my time on behalf of family farmers.
That was not the Trump
administration.
Reclaiming my time
means you stop
talking. The Biden
talking.
administration.
That's what it means in this building. You stop talking when I reclaim my time. What's the national average of farm diesel right now?
The national average of farm diesel.
Yeah, what's
diesel
the diesel
has increased because of the Iranian conflict.
How much was it? How much is it right now?
Before the Iranian conflict, it had gone way up. All inputs under the last administration increased about 40%. That's what we inherited.
Reclaiming my time. Madam Secretary, Joe Biden is no longer the President of the United States. Mr. Trump is. Your party controls Congress. You own these numbers at this point in time. I'm sick of hearing you blame an administration from a year and a half ago. You own every single bit of this. Since you don't know the answer, in May, the average price of diesel was $5.41 a gallon. That's up 95% from a year ago, the entire year in which this administration was in power in the White House, the House, and the Senate.
All right. Well done. Well done, Representative Congresswoman Craig. I thought that was good. Okay, now let's get to James Tallarico. I love this clip. So really, I'm always thinking about gender and men and masculinity and how to talk about it and words to use and stories and anecdotes and so on. Anyway, there's been this attack on James Tallarico as not being a real man, or, this kind of gay baiting. He's a feminine soy boy, all this nonsense. And he does such a great job in this moment, in this kind of anecdote. I really liked it, so here it is.
There's been a lot of talk in this campaign about what it means to be a real man. I was born to a single mom who worked overtime at a hotel to provide for me. And the luckiest day in both of our lives was the day we met my adoptive dad, Mark Tallarico. The man who gave me his last name, the man who raised me as his own. Every Saturday morning, my dad would mow our lawn. And then without anyone asking him, he would go next door and mow our neighbor's lawn because she was elderly and a widow. He never talked about it. He just did it because that's what a man does. Call me old-fashioned, but a man takes responsibility. He upholds his commitments to his family and his neighbors, and he does what's right even when no one is watching. Here's what real men don't do. They don't lie and cheat their way through life. They don't enrich themselves by stealing from other people. And they don't sell their soul to the highest bidder. Real men serve others. Weak men serve themselves.
Yeah, good stuff. I like it a lot. I like that very, very much. And going from one real man to another real man, we love him. It's John Ossoff, who we all have a crush on. And he was on MS Now talking about this guy, Bill Pulte, and how unqualified he is to be the director of national intelligence, zero experience in intelligence, national security, foreign policy, anything, but yet he got the job. Why? Because he's a corrupt sycophant. But let Senator Ossoff explain.
Director of National Intelligence. This person will sit atop the most powerful intelligence collection apparatus ever built in the history of humankind. And to put a completely unqualified political hack in that position, in my view, signals an unmistakable ambition to deepen the politicization and abuse of America's intelligence community. We already saw what Tulsi Gabbard did in Fulton County, the nation's top spy coming down to my state of Georgia and overseeing a ballot raid. This has to be stopped in its tracks. We need Senate Republicans to have some spine and say enough is enough, because this man is a threat to our civil liberties in this job. It's not just that he's unqualified. Remember what he did at the FHFA. He trawled through federal records to find derogatory information about the president's political adversaries and then shoveled it to the Department of Justice to try to get them prosecuted. He did that to sitting Democratic members of Congress. And again, here's the bottom line, folks. If you have had enough of the corruption, the grotesque abuses of power, and you want to help make a difference right now, help me win this Senate race in Georgia by going to electjohn.com and supporting me in the most crucial and competitive Senate race in the country.
There he goes with the plug. Well done. I left it in. All right, finally, I've got Congressman Brendan Boyle questioning Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, and I thought he did a darn good job. Bessent tries to stay strong throughout, though.
Days ago, the White House Director of National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, said, and I quote, "People are spending more on gas, but they're also spending more on everything else, not just groceries, but restaurants and so on." I think that's a sign you see when people are optimistic about the future. I was wondering if you agree with your White House colleague that people spending more on everything else is just a sign of great optimism.
I think high discretionary spending is likely what Director Hassett meant. And
you consider spending on groceries discretionary? Or gas discretionary?
I didn't say gas. Did he say gas?
Yes, that's correct. Right. I'll read the quote again. "People are spending more on gas, but they're also spending more on everything else, not just groceries, restaurants, and so on." That's optimism.
So the everything else would be discretionary spending, Congressman.
Well,
it would be.
Well, I'll tell you what. Reclaim my time. I can settle how the American people are feeling about this economy because I have the data on it right here from Fox News just the other week. On the president and this administration's handling of the economy, 71% of the American people disapprove, including 40% of Republicans. On the president's handling of inflation, 72% disapprove. They disapprove, in fact, by a 3-to-1 margin over approval. So do you agree with the American people, or are they just wrong?
The American people were torched under the Biden administration.
Oh, my God. I wish I had $1 for every time you or someone on the Republican side brought up Biden's name. If I did, I might have as much money as you have, Mr. Secretary.
You would have lost 22% of your purchasing power because that's what happened.
So the American people are wrong. The fact that by a 3-to-1 margin, they disapprove of this president and your performance on the economy. They're wrong.
The Democratic House has 17% approval rating.
No, I understand why you don't want to answer the question. So let me, I forgot to mention, reclaim my time. I forgot to mention, consumer sentiment is at an all-time low. So the numbers on the approval rating of this president of the economy are the lowest since the Great Recession. But in terms of consumer sentiment, which actually does measure whether or not people are optimistic about their future, the lowest in the history of a poll that dates back to 1952.
Well, let's look at the underlying data. 2/3 of those are Democrats. The Democrats...
No, 2/3, excuse me, 2/3 of those polls, so Fox News, The Economist, all the polls are wrong.
You're citing the University of Michigan, and...
There have been other surveys as well, but...
All right, there you go. Brendan Boyle, good job with Scott Bessent. Now let's get to a little comedy for you. Here's Jimmy Kimmel last night on Jimmy Kimmel Live on ABC.
Last night, the Trump suck-ups at CBS fired a great and deeply respected journalist, Scott Pelley, from his job at 60 Minutes because he stood up for truth and integrity at a show that's been the gold standard for broadcast journalism for 57 years. Pelley had had enough after the clowns who now run that show in the CBS News division fired reporters Sharon Alfonsi and Cecilia Vega, along with the executive producer Tanya Simon, and replaced Tanya Simon with a guy who has no experience in TV news. And that was it for Scott Pelley. He said the collapse of values at the top has become untenable, and he let him have it in a staff meeting, right to the new guy's face. So last night they fired him. 60 Minutes will be replaced by new episodes of Reporters Unleashed. The president, of course, applauded this cowardly decision. He said Scott Pelley is part of a gang of crooked, stupid people, different from the gang of crooked, stupid people he's a part of. And that should make for an interesting situation at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which is apparently back on. Yesterday, Trump announced, in a sign of strength and fortitude, it was just announced that the Correspondents' Dinner, which violently ended rather abruptly on April 25th, will be rescheduled to July 24th. This announcement is a very good thing in that we cannot allow lunatics to change our way of life or even its scheduling, said the lunatic who has changed our way of life. And, well, maybe not our scheduling, but in any event, he said it will be a hot ticket. Interestingly, the location will be the Waldorf Astoria on Pennsylvania Avenue, a building and ballroom that I built. Hey, he already has a ballroom in Washington? Why are we building a new one then? Anyway, unlike his son's wedding, Trump does plan to go to the Correspondents' Dinner. On Memorial Day week.
All right, there you go. Last night. Very funny, as always, Kimmel. And now it's time to get to my guest. It's time for Celeste Headlee. We had a great conversation. You can watch it on Substack or YouTube or other places. And we started with all kinds of mundane fluff for like the first third of it at least. And people really seem to like that, at least live. And then we get into some more serious issues. Of course, Celeste is a longtime journalist. She's done it all, from print to TV and, of course, to radio at NPR for years. She is an author. She's written 4 books, I believe, and she's just recorded the audio book of her 5th, and you should get them all. And she's a professor now at Morgan State University. We talked a little bit about that. We love her. You should follow her on Blue Sky and Instagram, and that is it. That's the intro. Let's do it with the always awesome Celeste Headlee. Celeste Headlee, always highly requested, and I do what the people tell me. You're one of people's favorites, and I captioned today's conversation, do a short caption to preview it, and I said, Celeste will explain. I feel like if I were closer to you, I would take far more advantage of your advice on even the most mundane things, like, should I get a dog now that I'm going to be an empty nest?
You should get a dog.
You think yes.
Yes.
But you don't know about my situation or anything, and you're just going ahead and a little bit.
Yes.
Oh.
You should get a dog.
Why?
Whatever situation that you're in, it is better for the dog than the shelter where they are.
Oh, I see. So you're not concerned at all about me and how it might make me feel.
Well, except that pretty much all research shows that no matter what, that dog's going to make you feel better. It's not the same that's true of kids. Kids can make you miserable, but dogs, pets, increase your well-being. Even if there's more trouble, even if they're more expensive, still the bottom line is it's going to be better for that dog. It's going to be better for you. So
okay.
Yes, get the dog.
Celeste will explain. Mundane question number 2. When washing dishes, do you have a tried and true method? Are you a rich person with a dishwasher?
I am a not rich person with a dishwasher.
That's what makes you wealthy. That's what makes you wealthy.
Yeah, I live in the suburbs.
Yeah, but that's what makes you wealthy. A dishwasher makes you wealthy. It's the only thing that matters in life. is my opinion, not having one and washing my dishes by hand. It does. I'll say is it doesn't get
both ways.
Okay.
I've done it both ways. When I did not have a dishwasher, I was a soaker, where I would soak them and then take them out one by one. So I used minimal water.
I do that. Okay.
Yeah. I would take them out one by one to clean them off and, dry them and put them in the drying rack. But I thought that, having the one little bath to start the process of getting the junk off used less water than going individually to scrub each one.
And do you have a specific brush that you swear by, like I do, the Sponge Daddy?
The Sponge Daddy I have used. I have these scrubber sponges that are made of walnuts, like crushed up walnut fiber.
Oh, wow.
And they work great.
I had a fight with my mom over this because I feel there's no space but to own the Sponge Daddy. Like you can't say I don't like that. You can't. It's the best. I swear by it.
I support that. I mean, all for the Sponge Daddy works great. And if that's your chosen weapon, that I support it.
Well, I just want
my walnut scrubber also works great for me. So
I just won $100 on a bet because I said if I can get award-winning journalist Celeste Headlee to say Sponge Daddy twice, I will pay myself. Oh, it's Scrub Daddy. I got it wrong.
Oh, see, there you go.
It's even creepier. Scrub Daddy.
It is, yeah.
Now let's get to some important things.
Come scrub your daddy.
Hey, that's Scrub Daddy is actually my screen name on Reddit before I ran for Senate.
At least you didn't say it's your name on OnlyFans.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I wish I had something to sell on OnlyFans. It sounds pretty lucrative. Nobody cares about me. How about this? Congratulations on your first full semester as a professor of media and politics. What is your official subject?
This is School of Global Journalism and Communications.
Very cool.
And thank you very much.
Yes. Luckily,
at Morgan State, for your first 2 years, you only have to teach 2 classes a semester, so they go easy on you before they start dumping all over you. So everything went really well. I had a room full classes and rooms full of super bright kids who will try to get away with everything. Like, I was shocked at the imagination, the amount of effort they put into getting away with stuff.
Oh, really? Yeah.
If they just put that effort into doing the assignment, they'd be golden.
It's me.
That
was my entire academic
They'd be
career.
totally fine. But instead, there's all this
shortcuts,
time and effort put into trying to get an excused absence for what's clearly an unexcused absence. And my hat's off to their imagination, but it just feels like pretty wasted effort. Because I don't put up with bullshit. I've been a journalist for a very long time. Like, do not try to get shit past me.
Right. I tried once.
I'm going to be kind about it, kindness. But I'm not going to rake you over the coals about it, but the answer's no.
What would you like to generalize based on this one semester or any other experience with young people about this generation of students? Are they mostly students of color? Say a black HSBC, right? Morgan State,
HBCU.
Yeah. I said a Chinese bank. Well done. HBCU. So are they
mostly students of color? Obviously not entirely. And when I say students of color, they're not all. Everyone's not black.
Right.
There's all kinds of different colors and cultures and different backgrounds, and it's great. I mean, it's exactly where I want to be. The students are all very bright. They are much more concerned about the impact that tech and digital media is having on their brains than I think people realize.
Oh, I thought you were going to say on their careers, like future, because they were students training for a career, but you're saying that they're more concerned about how that technology is affecting.
I'm not sure they have enough experience supporting themselves to really take seriously a threat to their careers. And that's a generalization if I ever heard one. But in general, I don't think they haven't spent enough time having to live by that paycheck to realize how serious that threat is to their lives. But they really do understand the threat to their cognition. and what impact it might have on their lives. That doesn't mean they're all ready to make the necessary changes to protect their brains and their social lives and their well-being, but they're much more aware of it than I had thought.
Okay. I could ask about them and this semester and your experience for the rest of the hour. And we can talk with Celeste clearly about anything. But I do see a request coming in on the live chat from a super fan of yours. Kim Nyborg in Iowa says, I want to hear Celeste take everything about Scott Pelley, Graham Plattner, the midterms, her new book, which I just pre-ordered, and favorite ice cream. Was that random, or have you talked about your favorite ice cream?
I don't think I've
Okay, well,
talked
answer
about
the
my
question.
favorite ice cream.
Easiest
my
one.
favorite ice cream is a Ben & Jerry's flavor, right? And it's Cherry Garcia.
Oh, that's your favorite ice cream.
That's my favorite ice cream. I got to tell you, I made homemade ice cream sandwiches last year because I don't know if you've had an ice cream sandwich recently, but they are not the way we had them when we were kids.
I haven't had one because I'm 50. That's a child's treat. How do you make them? Where do you get like they sell just the chocolate I don't know what it's called ends, the wafers, the sandwich?
No, I make them. I bake.
You make that too?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you.
So, but what I did was I got a couple pints of Cherry Garcia and I made Cherry Garcia ice cream sandwiches.
Oh, wow.
And when you make it yourself, the wafers still have a little bit of crispness to them.
I bet.
They're delicious
Now
chocolate, real chocolate flavor. And what's inside is not frozen dairy dessert, which is what they make, but it's actual ice cream. It was to die for. It was pretty much heaven.
I'm convinced, and I retract my childish comment.
Why? What's your ice cream of choice?
I don't really do ice cream or chocolate. I will. I'm not opposed to it. But I will say what you've just described, I would love. I would absolutely eat your homemade chocolate ice cream sandwich with that exact. That sounds delicious.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm not really a chocolate person either, unless the chocolate is like an accompaniment. Like if it's the accent flavor, I don't want chocolate ever to be the main flavor.
Oh,
that is
really?
not for me. No.
See, you're so, that's why I'm glad anything, you always give a thoughtful answer. A lot of people would have been, I like vanilla. And that person would never be back on the show.
Yeah. No. I just like chocolate. I think chocolate is best as an accent, and I realize that you're going to get angry.
Yeah, that offends people. Not me, but most people, I think, would be offended.
I have nothing against people who love chocolate. Absolutely, I'm not going to yuck your yum, but don't make me chocolate cake. Do not buy me chocolate bars.
I recently was at like a birthday. Somebody handed me a slice of cake, and I was just like, I don't think I'll ever eat cake. And maybe a strawberry shortcake or something with fruit in it.
Ooh,
but like, I don't want your cake. I don't want it. I'm sorry.
So you're a pie.
Yes.
Guy.
Oh, am I? Yes. Get out of my way.
Yes.
There's a pie.
Pie is fantastic.
Okay, we're on the
So
same
are
page.
you a crust on top and bottom type of pie person?
What are you talking about right now?
So I have a friend who
Sounds like
only
you're
likes a pie with the maximum amount of crust.
Okay, listen, your friend, who it sounds like is you, and you're embarrassed
It is
to
not
admit,
me. It is not me.
I know. You wouldn't use that vehicle. But here's the thing. You're getting into a very controversial and I think cautious because you're talking about the difference now between pie, crumble, and cobbler. And I think your friend should probably, come correct. Get it right.
I feel like if you have to have crust on the top and bottom, you're leaving out some of the best pies like key lime pie and a strawberry pie. Like, I really like a berry pie.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but it's called key lime pie, I guess, but it's really just a pile of cream with a bottom crust.
Yeah.
It's so good, though. I love key lime pie.
I love key lime pie. Yeah. This is all very, very controversial and fraught.
Yeah. Oh, well, all food
material.
Things are, right?
Yeah. Might as well start off by offending people.
There's so many. I would love to argue. I love to argue the mundane and just treat people like they're a murderer, like a sociopath. Like, you're a terrible person.
I mean, we could take it further. We could start talking about things like sweet or savory cornbread. Like, we could really dive into the deep end here and make it bad.
Do you want?
We don't have to.
because you're someone who I hold in high regard for for a lot of reasons, but certainly for your your moral clarity, your all of the things that you care deeply about. I'm going to go to an actual serious one that we started with. If someone does want to get a dog, in this case, one of my closest friends told me, if I get a purebred, if I don't get a rescue, he will no longer be my friend. Would you go that far? Is it that unethical? Like, there's a billion animals that need homes that are not purebred versus like what we got when she's now gone. But we had a purebred Havanese dog, you know.
So
do we hate these people? Should they be executed, the people who get purebreds? Should they be brought to
I'm
the
not
Hague?
going to cut off all ties with you.
Yeah.
But if you're getting a pet and taking responsibility for that pet's life for the rest of their life, it needs some careful thought.
Right.
And if you put careful thought into dogs especially, there's no ethical way to buy a purebred.
There is no ethical way. Right. There's no daylight on that argument. That is
zero. Yeah. Number one, you're literally trading a life for a life, right? Every purebred dog that is purchased means a dog in the shelter is going to pass.
You're promoting
that's number one.
That practice.
Number two, breeds don't exist in nature for dogs. Those are human created, and they're very recent. And our attempts to create pure breeds is literally torturing dogs. Mm-hmm. Like, vets everywhere are begging people to stop buying smush-face dogs like pugs and bulldogs because they live a miserable life. Mm. The other thing is that purebreds live a shorter life. They're less healthy. Like, there's no part of that decision where buying the purebred dog is the better, more ethical decision. And if you love your dog, you want them to be healthy and live longer anyway. Now, I had a purebred that I adopted. Somebody left a couple purebred beagles.
Oh, look at you.
In the shelter.
There's purebred beagles?
Yep. And when my son went to pick out his dog, that's the one he picked.
But it was at a rescue. You didn't.
But it was I would
some lady
never
some Russian lady in Brooklyn,
life
like we did,
buy a dog. And I am the last person in the world to judge other people. But I got to be honest with you, Pete. I'm very judgy about this.
Oh, I am too. So just to be clear, this is an interesting situation. You know, my ex-wife and I are separated amicably. We're really good friends, or else I wouldn't bring this up. But I will say, she was very much against getting a pet when the girls were little. I love all animals. I would have had a house full of animals.
Yeah.
So we convinced her to get a dog, but it could only be that dog. So it was a compromise that my girls got to have an animal, but we bought it. That was the compromise.
It doesn't make any logical sense anyway, because to buy a specific breed of dog, there's zero scientific evidence that the breed affects their personality or their behavior. So really, all you're doing is saying, I don't mind supporting an industry that is cruel and abusive to animals, that is literally leading to the death of other animals, because I want my dog to look a certain way.
Well, just to be clear, and I couldn't agree more with you on that. A lot of people, at least this was the only argument. It wasn't about personality or look. It was about hair and allergies. And she thought, and I don't even know if that's true. I don't think it's true. I think that a lot of times you might have allergies, and then there
are hypoallergenic dogs, but there's plenty of them at the shelter. That was the main. Yeah, exactly. There's plenty at the shelter. There's plenty of them.
I realize I'm already 20 minutes in here. All right, let me ask you. I didn't ask you this ahead of time, and I wonder how closely. Have you followed the Graham Plattner, the latest that he was texting women situation?
Yes.
Okay, can I just? I have an opinion that might be unpopular here to some extent, but I want to hear your take on it. But
let's hear yours first.
Well, my first take is I don't know much and haven't seen any reporting, and I did look. Doesn't mean it's not out there, of who he was texting, what the formats were, where they were, because if he was, what was the screen name we said earlier? If he was Scrub Daddy 1, and he was texting as Scrub Daddy 1, and some woman was Lady X, and they were just exchanging texts without knowing who they are, and he was getting his rocks off. That's between him and his wife, and if she's okay with it, I am. Except
she was the one that flagged those texts to his campaign and said this might be a problem,
and it might, but it's not for her. Meaning, and if no woman who
what do you mean it's not for her?
There aren't any victims in this. There's potentially no victims here. If you have a consensual conversation with somebody anonymously online, and you weren't lying about anything overtly, or you weren't misleading them, a lot of people go on. A lot of married people. I think this is not too much different than porn. If you have no intention of meeting somebody and you're exchanging pictures with them, it's a violation of the trust you might have with your partner. But if your partner's okay with you doing it, or okay with you watching pornography, and you've had that conversation, and you're not lying, not misleading. So I just don't know who he was talking to and what he was saying, and it feels personal between him and his wife. And I don't want to conflate this, unless the details change, with so many other terrible things that mostly men do. That's it. I think I'm done.
I think I'm in agreement with you. I felt like the whole thing between Clinton and Monica Lewinsky was his own issue until he lied about it. Like, I don't think the personal, private things that people do, public figures or not, that do not impact the ethics of the way they do their job or do not impact other people in a negative way, is their own business. And as long as these texts were sent consensually, and the texts themselves, the content of them was not of concern, then I don't care. I mean, Graham Plattner has plenty of other problems, and I'm pretty irritated with all the, frankly, liberal men who have now responded to this whole controversy by saying, Graham can text my wife, he can sext my wife, offering up their wives.
I haven't heard that, but let's take the argument to the...
There's been a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Please don't offer your wife up for sexual content. Thank you.
What I heard was this very well-known, popular progressive influencer, Kyle Kalinske, said, I would crawl over glass to vote for him. The larger point being made is this is a very flawed candidate that we desperately need to win so that we can take back the Senate. That's the argument a lot of people are making. What do you think of that? Like, if you denounce him now, then we're going to lose Maine and potentially the Senate. And we desperately that would be kind of a litmus test thing to do. And what about all of the rights, especially that have been anything that the Senate could possibly change, investigate? Like taking control of the Senate is everything. And I agree with that.
Yeah. But also, I think that in the primary stage, that's not the time to be thinking about that. If he's our only choice between him and our perpetually concerned senatrist from Maine,
Susan Collins,
if those are our only choices, then okay, that argument holds water. But during the primary, I remember people saying the same thing about Barack Obama. Do not vote for him, because then when we get to the general election, the Republicans will win. We have heard this again and again, and that is how we have ended up with the Democratic Party that we have. All with the caveat that I'm not a Democrat, I'm an independent, so I'm criticizing someone else's party. But the Democrats have not met this moment. They haven't been meeting the moment for years and years and years, and part of the reason is this exact calculation that would never have gotten Mamdani in office. The exact same thinking that prevented Chuck Schumer from endorsing Mamdani is what we're hearing related to Graham Plattner right now. You do not have to settle for another flawed, problematic, white dude. You do not. If it's the general election, fine. Go with the least fascist candidate you possibly can. But in the primaries, no thank you.
I feel like this is a very specific case with this guy. I paid pretty close attention to it, that he skyrocketed in popularity and was drawing huge crowds and getting a tremendous amount of support and no one else could come close, including the governor, Janet Mills, which is why she decided not to run. She dropped out. So no other candidate was challenging him after that. There is apparently, some independents or other people running, but at this point, it would seem that he is the most likely person. I can't possibly imagine someone else coming on the stage in Maine with such little time and raising the money required to beat Susan Collins in Maine. And isn't he the type of candidate that's got to win in Maine?
If I have a choice between Susan Collins and Graham Plattner, I will vote for him. Nazi tattoo or not, I would. He's problematic. But then if I were a resident of Maine, I would hold his feet to the fucking fire.
Yeah. I also don't like...
And I would make him a one-term senator if he doesn't live up to the promises he made and the claims he made about being a reformed man. Yep. He's said shitty things about women. He's gotten into fights. He's a problematic candidate. And if he's the only choice with Susan Collins, fine. But otherwise, no, thank you.
Is he not? My friend Tina, who is the reason you're here today, she's one of your biggest fans.
Tina Winsett.
Yeah, Tina's amazing, probably one of the best people we know. She seems to be arguing that he should not be, I don't know, Tina. It says Mills is still on the primary ballot. Mills, Tina doesn't have, that's not a choice. She doesn't want to be voted for. She wants him to be voted for, which is why she is not a choice. She's not campaigning. There is no money. It's only him is what I'm saying. And it's a great example of a conversation of, as you're talking about very specifically, his flaws. He's a flawed candidate. Most of them, everybody's a flawed human, but he's a pretty flawed candidate.
Yeah, he's flawed. I mean, we're talking about someone who has absolutely no experience in real leadership. Or in politics specifically. So he's already a question mark. And all of these flaws would mean that if there were any other option, I would say go with the other option. If he ends, again, I cannot say enough, if he ends up being the one up against Susan Collins, vote for Graham Plattner. Because Susan Collins is a disaster, always been a disaster, and I've never understood why the people of Maine felt she was the one that represented their interests the best.
I feel like one of the things, qualities that I'm most looking for in a candidate in 2026 is somebody who is from and is currently working class. They have that experience, or they certainly represent the, quote, working class movement. I personally am very much supportive of candidates like AOC and Mamdani and this Democratic Socialist, but I think labels are sometimes misleading. But I do like the working class thing, and that's a Plattner guy. But then, with that all being said, there's a whole bunch of people who probably align with me a lot who have supported Ted Steyer. So I'm switching the conversation to California, where it looks like Democrats might nominate a billionaire, and the argument that many of them are making is because he's anti-billionaires. What's wrong with an anti-billionaire, pro-working class billionaire?
So we've talked about this before. There's no way to ethically become a billionaire.
Agreed.
On the other hand, I really like J.B. Pritzker. But he's an absolute rare bird, and I bet we're going to find out bad decisions that he's made at some point.
Isn't he inherit, isn't he family money that
he is, yes.
Okay.
But, there's no ethical way to become a billionaire. And
agreed. I have an End to Billionaires t-shirt. I wore it all yesterday.
And if you remain a billionaire, F you.
Right, give it all away.
Doing everything in your power to not be a billionaire anymore.
Like Jeff Bezos' first wife and Bill Gates' ex-wife, both those women got whatever they got. Hundreds of millions of dollars, and they have been spending.
And can't give it away fast enough.
But that's their whole life, and I know. I support that.
Super props to Melinda. Yeah.
Although they shouldn't be allowed to have it. It should be our money to decide where it goes. Not even those two women shouldn't be deciding.
And they would be the first ones to tell you that.
I think so. Yeah.
But
FDR, Benny says, FDR was uber rich and anti-rich. It can happen. He was a traitor to his class.
It can happen. FDR also a flawed person.
No, how dare you come on
balance.
This podcast and attack Franklin Delano era Roosevelt?
So on balance, the good he did so far outweighed his problems and his flaws. Yeah. And also, you can't get away from Eleanor Roosevelt. That dame was frickin' awesome.
Oh, okay, good. I thought you were about to be critical of her, but that would be okay too.
No, oh my God.
Yeah, she was good.
Talk about like
was his main flaw that
red flag.
He was a philanderer. They had a bunch of side affairs. Or something?
No, I don't care about that.
Oh, what was?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can move past FDR. We're talking Tom Steyer. We're talking wealth. All right. Let me move on to another thing, though, unless there's any more to say about anything that I've already asked you.
So, I mean, FDR, let's talk about, you mean that we have to mention the fact that he did end up centralizing a lot of power in the executive branch, and we're still reaping that whirlwind.
Oh.
Okay. But moving on from FDR, it's so depressing to see the primary results coming in Los Angeles and see that the two most central and moderate Democrats are the ones rising to the top. I mean, this is just for the
gubernatorial
idea. That's what I mean. Sorry.
Yep.
Rise into the top. It's just so depressing. And I don't know if you read Jamel Bowie.
I love Jamel Bowie. I know Jamel. Yep. But go ahead.
Yeah, fantastic.
Smart.
Talk about, moral clarity. His recent column, which is brilliant, and I highly recommend everyone read it 4 times, is basically talking about that quote that Lincoln said.
Is it at the Times now still?
He's still at the Times.
Okay.
In which he said, a broken egg can't be mended. And Jamel's whole point is that so many Democrats are acting as though what we have to do right now is somehow get us back to normal, right? Let's put things back to the way they were. And his point is, it's broken. We're going to have to create something new. So stop using these calculations that have kept us from making progress in the past. Let me tell you this. Here's my hot take for the day.
Yeah, okay.
Leaving Trump out of the list for decades, presidential historians have said that Buchanan was the worst president because he didn't meet the moment, right? He failed to prevent the Civil War because he didn't recognize that something really serious was changing. He didn't recognize that politics had changed. He tried to normalize things. He tried to downplay things. He just wanted to get everyone back to normal, right? And so he caused the deadliest conflict on American soil. I truly believe that in the future, that is the way historians will see Joe Biden.
Oh, right. I thought that's where you're going. Joe Biden created the opening for Trump to come back.
He failed to prevent the Civil War. He failed to meet the moment. He needed
in America. You're not talking about the Middle East. You're talking about
no. I'm talking about here.
Yep.
He failed. He could have recognized how serious the threat was.
Yeah.
Recognized that, okay, it's all over. Let's now go back to the same politics I've been doing for the past half a century.
Yeah.
He could have Merrick Garland was the wrong attorney general. All kinds of, he didn't, instead of actually pushing for Supreme Court reform, he started a blue ribbon panel, right? Oh, let's just talk about it.
Right, that's right. It was very insulting to everybody who'd worked on the issue for their lives. Yeah, it was really insulting.
He failed to prevent what's happening right now, which is essentially the destruction of a democracy that has lasted for 250 years.
It's fine that you say he, right? But I do think that there's a lot more people to blame around in the administration for sure. And then, you could talk about any number of the media, us and so on. I just am so anti people that old running for public office. And people are like, oh, you're ageist. I'm ageist. No, I'm just for public office. Any other job you want, even pilot. It's even okay for a pilot, I think, because the computer flies the plane and there's another guy and he's young with a mustache or lady. And you don't like an old pilot? I like a really old pilot and a really old plane, like one with a broken propeller. I'm just trying to make this as bad as I really don't care.
Boy.
But running for public office, whether it's mayor, governor, or president, it's, You can't, as you're saying it's a really provocative thing to say that, he is worse ever as a result of what he didn't do, but you can back it up. I think it's a pretty good argument, and that has, to me, some extent to do with just him being around forever.
I think you're right. I don't know if I'm right, and I welcome you to bring on a political scientist who can tell us if we're right. But yeah, I think he will be seen as the Buchanan of our time.
Interesting.
He needed to pursue he needed to pursue all lawbreakers that had broken the norms, broken the law. He needed to push to get the War Powers Act counteracted. He needed to let that expire. He needed to let all those Iraq War special powers for the executive office go expire. He needed to get abortion set into stone. Like, there's so many things that he needed to do. And frankly, Obama had the power to get, the Democrats had the power to get these things done, and they didn't either.
I'll lightly disagree, but I'm scared to. And it is about the numbers in specifically the Senate with both Obama and Biden. And every time people say they could have done it, I was
Obama had it for 2 years. He had the first 2 years.
But without the filibuster, he could not have gotten any major legislation that didn't include the parliamentary procedure reconciliation. Without reconciliation, which was, I mean, go ahead and make the case. He could have gotten it done in 2 years. He could have gotten what done, I guess. I think of all of the progressive legislation the House passed with Nancy Pelosi that never got out of the Senate, including on guns, cap and trade, so many progressive things that comprehensive immigration reform. I
mean, George Bush tried that. I mean, then you start to getting into the nitty gritty, which is that they had the votes except for frickin' Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema.
But isn't that true?
Like, it absolutely is true. And that's true of, frankly, that's true of Buchanan. Like, you could go into any president. You could go to that old racist Woodrow Wilson and say, well, yeah, but blah, 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 blah. There's all kinds of ways that you can do this. But, you know, the buck stops here. And you become president because you're not afraid of being responsible.
I think that's
for
fair.
both victories and for defeats.
And find a way to convince people to vote for something. That's part of being president in this case, or
failed
governor,
failed to take any action whatsoever to regulate AI, to dilute the power of the tech oligarchs who are right now ruining the world. They're not even just ruling the United Nations; they're ruining the world.
Attack the tech oligarchs on this program. That's for all of us.
That's for the tech oligarchs. Screw you, Peter Thiel.
He moved to Argentina.
I know. You know who else moved to Argentina to escape accountability? The Nazis. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Like Argentina and Brazil, right? That's where mostly, though. I think Argentina is where it's
boys from Brazil.
Oh, wow. Fuck Argentina. You really, other than Messi and Maradona, who's also a controversial figure. All right, let's get to journalism. And we love talking with you about anything, Celeste, but I guess I just want to ask you your thoughts on 60 Minutes and all that's happened specifically with CBS News. Maybe you want to throw a little Colbert in there. I don't know. But, I mean, this Scott Pelley thing, I don't –
I mean, kudos to Scott Pelley. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. And frankly, a lot of people are saying, well, you know, that's not so brave for a white dude with tons of power and plenty of money to retire on. That's true, but it's also true that those are the exact kind of people we want to speak up because they're the ones that don't face dire consequences.
Exactly. I like to think that's why I lost my job at SiriusXM. Part of it, like I was a thorn. I knew that I was this white guy and that I needed to. And I looked around.
Why I lost my job at Newsweek?
Because you're a white man,
dude, but because I was outspoken. Yeah. Because I was a white male with all the privileges that come with it. Yeah. No, but Scott Pelley is exactly the person that we need making this kind of stand, and he did exactly what he should have done, and he kept at it until he grew so loud about it that they let him go. And my hat is off to him. I wish we had more journalists speaking up like this long ago, especially those in power. Yeah. But there are a few who continue to tell the truth. I got to point out my friend Kai Ryssdal over at Marketplace, he's never been inaccurate. He's never been unfair in reporting on market news, but he's also brutally honest about how stupid and disingenuous some of these shenanigans are. So, my hat is off, and I am willing to honor all privileged, powerful white guys who are willing to do what we need them to do, which is be the front lines of this fight.
Are you familiar? You might know her. I don't know if you follow her story. Former Washington Post Karen Attiah, who was fired,
of course,
as a result of
and has filed suit.
And her case has gone to arbitration this week. 8 months after challenging my termination of my case against the Washington Post will finally be headed by an arbiter. I don't understand her case, but I think it's wrongful firing. And she was fired over a post.
She posted, she wrote a column about Charlie Kirk, and literally all she did was quote Charlie Kirk.
Right.
And they fired her. And
a lot of people got fired, school board people, and have filed suit, and many of them have won a lot of money and gotten their jobs back or something. If they won. Right?
Here's the thing.
Yep.
First of all, Karen is fantastic.
Okay.
And she she has absolutely failed, gotten fired with grace, and she's better and stronger even now. And I credit a lot of that to the large number of people who have come out to support her,
she
who
seems
recognize that this was wrong from the beginning.
Yeah.
But going forward, once this nightmare is finally done, whatever wreckage is left of the United States, one of the most important things is that the first person who says, let's put this behind us and move forward and not, is going to get tomato in the face, because we cannot let a single penny not make an attempt to reclaim every single penny that's been stolen, to claw back every single right that was wiped away. We need to get back every dollar that has been stolen through fraud or illegal means, or even just through shady means. It all needs to be clawed back. And that has to be our focus for some time. It cannot be, let's move on.
It sounds like what you're saying is there has to be accountability for the crimes and corruption of this administration.
Real accountability.
There has to be some kind of truth and reconciliation committees, tribunals, whatever.
Jail.
There has to be accountability. Now, I'm sure you would agree with me that this country doesn't hold powerful people accountable in our lifetime. We do see other countries doing it. When we're talking about government, corruption and crimes, overwhelmingly wealthy people, even in the private sector, aren't held accountable. And my final point would be, I fully agree with you, but I don't think that I think too many Americans are going to be like, we won't want to look backwards. Let's move forward. And I think even in kind of the Earth One progressive movement, that might not be a primary driver to get people to vote, get them to elect. I am like a lot of people that I talk to and listen to and read, I'm outraged and fully agree. They should have they should leave the UFC production up on the White House lawn so we can have the tribunal of Trump and his cronies right there, is my joke. But I'm fully for it. I wonder how it plays politically. If you say, if you elect me, I'm going to go after these people and all the crimes they committed.
So here, two things.
Yeah.
Number one, the egg's broken. Any comments made about how things have worked in the past don't really apply.
Great
point. Because the egg is broken.
Great point.
Number two, you are underestimating how much support the Nuremberg trials received and how healing that was for people to see those crimes litigated, to see them articulated, to see them have to sit there in court and listen to their crimes described and be held accountable for them, to see their faces when they were sentenced. That is the kind of justice this country deserves. It needs. I truly believe we can't move forward until we get it.
I agree with you, but we don't do that. We have held, I'll just look at three things. I would say torture. Nobody went to jail for torturing people. Nobody. No accountability for the Iraq War. No accountability for the financial collapse. No accountability for Vietnam.
Okay, you're bringing up past precedents again. And
well,
again,
you
I
said
say
Nuremberg.
to you, the egg is broken.
Yep.
Bill Kristol supports AOC to run for president.
That's a good point.
We are in a new world.
Right.
Those things that you're talking about are
he support
part
you
of the
for
reason.
President? I don't trust him.
He retweeted an article saying AOC needs to run for president. There's Bill Kristol.
But I don't trust him.
So-
Maybe he thinks because she'll lose or something.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I've been actually reading his writing lately.
Okay.
Bill
Wow.
Kristol has had a
Look
road
at
to
you with your
Damascus moment.
wide open mind.
But
that
also,
can't-
I will tell you that all those things you just mentioned are part of the reason we are here.
Agreed. But we don't do accountability very well here, and I desperately want it. I want it on
my God.
anything. Give
You're
me
not
anything.
the only one. I bet you if you run a poll right now, and I realize this is a captive audience. Like, obviously, no MAGA person is listening to Pete Dominic unless all they want to do is just dunk on you and hate listen. But I bet you if you run a poll and just ask who wants absolutely savage justice and retribution, it's going to be overwhelmingly
Wouldn't you have done?
me.
Couldn't you say that about some of the examples I gave, specifically, obviously, the financial crisis or anything else? Like, we don't do it. Why don't we do it?
I don't think we had the appetite for it before, and I don't think it was a high priority. Also, I think that politicians were always selling us the line of goods of let's move on, let's move forward.
Of course.
And they were selling us line of goods of like, I'm going to lower your taxes. I don't think people are ready to buy that bullshit from any politician, Democrat, Republican, or independent. I think people are very cynical about the shit that politicians are telling us, regardless of who that politician is. And so it's going to be very difficult for politicians to sell that crap.
My personal opinion is so painted by my own personal experience in campaigns I've been involved with or watched closely, especially locally for the school board. And I'm very cynical, and I'm a pretty optimistic guy, but like, if you're not showing up for your kid's school board election, you don't care about the most important election you vote for is school board. That's where your vote counts more than anywhere else, including town council. We're talking about your kids here. You're not even voting for your kids. You don't even know what the issues are. You have no idea. I just am very cynical about the apathy, and I've always tried to fight it, which is why I do what I do the way I do it, to bring people into caring about the issues that you and I talk so much about, care so much about, and cover with experts and so on. And so I want to be wrong. And I absolutely hope that this is right and that accountability and justice are motivating factors. I still believe that we're so apathetic about so much that it's hard to get that accountability.
I don't think people are apathetic anymore. I don't think the majority. I think there's still I'll say this, I think there's still a huge number of people whose lives are so difficult right now and are becoming difficult by the day that they don't have the mental space to think about these things.
Right. That's always the case. That group is always the case. Yeah.
And that's also by design.
Yes.
The American system has designed it that way to make us all desperate as often as possible so that we're not watching where the magician's other hand is going.
Right. Many magicians, lots of hands.
But I do think that those who are paying attention, and frankly, this is especially true of those who were MAGA and are not anymore. Yeah. Those leaving the MAGA cult are the most ready for vengeance.
Don't you think people are mostly motivated, and I'm sure there's data science, by things that affect them directly in their families? And I feel, I'm going to simplify this, but the primary reason Trump was not reelected in 20 was COVID, and the primary reason he will lose the midterm elections is gas prices that affect the price of everything. And so that's why I am
already going to lose the midterms before gas prices.
Probably true, right? I mean, I think there's probably a lot of data that would say that.
He made it worse, but all signs showed that he wasn't just going to lose, he was going to lose big. And frankly, he probably thought starting a war with Iraq would shore up support because in the past, Iran, because in the past, lots of politicians have started wars, like George W. Bush, who was going to lose re-election.
I mean, people, by the way, that point, real quick, don't talk enough about the fact that the war in Iraq's probably greatest consequence outside the obvious was empowering Iran.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So like he was already going to lose. I don't disagree with you. This sounds like I'm disagreeing with you, but I'm not. I do think people, are more likely to vote about things that affect them personally, than saying, I have nothing but empathy for the immigrant situation. And so I'm going to vote based on, immigrant, policy. Absolutely. Or I'm a male and I think it's unfair for us to tell women what to do, so I'm going to vote based on support for abortion access. I get that. But at this point, name an issue that isn't affecting people personally.
Yeah, well, we can keep talking about that for sure.
Immigration is affecting even people who have...
But do they know it?
I mean, look at the people who are coming out in these cities. These are white, middle-class white people. Do they know it? Yeah. Do they want ICE going down the street in front of their kids' school? Do they want ICE showing up at their church and dragging people out, or at a daycare center and dragging people out? Yeah, they know it. Here in Washington, D.C., the American taxpayer is paying $1.5 million per day to keep 2,800 National Guards soldiers on our streets, and they have not reduced the rate of violent crime even 1 iota. 1.5 million a day.
I have so much more to ask you. I lost track of time. I am so grateful to get to talk to you. This was so good, as always. The fun half was very fun too. The first half.
Yeah, go get a dog.
I was actually thinking of that ice cream sandwich that I want so badly.
Oh, see, yeah.
You really flipped me on that. Maybe more than anything. I was attacking you for eating a childish treat, not knowing that you were homemaking your own childish treat, which becomes also an adult treat.
Delicious.
You are the best. I am so grateful. Plug whatever you want, and then I will let you go. You've just finished reading your audiobook, recording?
I just finished recording my audiobook. It's going to be fantastic. I highly encourage everyone to go, please, please, please pre-order Freedom's Daughters by Celeste Headlee. Pre-orders are so important to authors. The other thing I will plug is we have a neighborhood food pantry on my front yard. If what you want to do to help is donate, we have a GoFundMe to help supply that food pantry. But I want to say that these are the kinds of things that everybody can do, and I cannot say enough about how doing even small things to help other people makes you feel better.
Yeah.
In a time when you feel like you have no control, do something nice for someone else.
That is the best advice I got when I was at my worst, and I think about it every day, and I try to do it every time I'm struggling the most. As a matter of fact, I was struggling not the most. This morning, and I went for a walk to the farmer's market, and I had a conversation with an amazing person that was very inspiring and gave me advice on how I might help another group of people. And I was just like so fired up by that idea. Advice you just gave is absolutely right. And it happened this morning. So thank you very much for that, for everything. Links to all of that and everything else that Celeste does are in the show notes. Thanks for everybody watching live and contributing. We really appreciate it. Thank you most, Celeste Headlee. Really appreciate you. Bye, everybody.
Always love talking to you. Bye.
All right, there she goes. Sorry for the abrupt ending there. Ran out of time, but always great with Celeste. Go follow her. Go support her. Get all her books. They're so good. She's so smart. Let her know you heard her here on the show. I'll be live with 10 with my brain is working faster than my tongue, or the other way around. 10:30 today. Should be talking to Christian Finnegan. And I hope that you have a great Friday and a great weekend, and I will talk to you later. Be good to yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Find the joy, ease the suffering, reach out to others, and I will talk to you tomorrow, maybe even, right here with Christian Finnegan on Stand Up. Bye-bye.
When the tyrants taunt you in the siren's teeth, you better stand up. Stand up. Let the brave meet the challenge, let the weak flee. Oh, you better stand up, stand up. When you're tired of begging, saying pretty please, that's the time you gotta finally get up on your knees. When you can't see the forest for the burning trees, you got to stand up. Hey, you've been sitting so long, you got the creaky knees, you got to stand up, stand up. I think you're driving wheels with leaking grease. Boy, you better stand up, stand up. Well, there's a whole lot more of us who know what's right. They'll keep right on ignoring us if we keep sitting tight. You got to open up the window to let in some light. You got to stand up. That's right. You got to rise up. You got to stand up. You got to stare the devil straight in the eye. We got to let him know it's his turn to go. See it clear when all you hear is a lie. Don't get up off of your butt, get down off of your fence. Even if They knew that change was gonna come before the change would begin. They had to stand up. All right, they had to stand up. We got to stand up. We got to look the devil square in the eye. We gotta let him know it's his time to go and make it clear when all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go unspent. You can see him flee the scene of that experiment if you stand up. Alright, we got to speak up, we got to reach up and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up, you got to show up. Ain't no better time to do it but now. No need to pledge allegiance to no wanton tribe. Rise up, show obedience to the voice inside. And listen well and it'll tell you not to run and hide. It says stand up. Stand up.